Hey, we're live recording right now, just so you know. Watch the P's and Q's.
Do you have a PowerPoint for this at all?
Oh, okay, you're working on PowerPoint.
Coming up, Charles. I know, huh?
Turn it off. Carlos, you're live right there on that camera slide. So, just want you to know.
Okay, thanks, Ron. That was a pretty good presentation from Adam. Kind of cleared the air a little bit about where the county's position is, city and government.
No, someone signed it. Someone signed it.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, okay, you got it from we got a couple minutes. Yeah, we got a couple minutes.
Yeah, if you want to buy it. Okay. We are live and we have a PowerPoint presentation. Jerry, you're up to that, brother. BMPs. Can you put okay.
All right. So, wastewater control. More talk on that? Yeah. That was a great lead-in that we just had. I mean, how nice it is to have an official come in and give us some insights from the other side of the coin. You know, there's been a lot of confusion over the years, and the more we have communications with these guys and get them into our association events and allow them to have the look and feel of what we're really doing here, maybe we'll get more definitive answers on what we need to know, and by the same token, they can get more definitive answers on what best available technology really is. We don't want any confusion at this point in the game.
He seems surprised, you know, he's like, there's an organization that really cares about it.
You know, we've been talking like organization, you know, is here, organization is happening, organization has begun for many years now. You know, when I first organized an invitational where I would give a talk on wastewater control BMPs, number one, that was an 8-hour class, and there was so much information to pack into it. And number two, I couldn't get anybody to talk to me about showing up at one of our events. I called city people, I called county level EPA people. They just, I'm sorry, we can't come. You know, they were uninterested. They thought they had they had no interest in talking to. I don't know. I guess they thought we were polluters. You know.
The most important thing the guy said, Adam said, was I didn't even realize there was an association. So we shut off pressure washers were fly-by-night companies.
Well,
you know?
the troubling part that I have with this whole, you know, location we're at with this is that we're doing so much to protect the environment, control water consumption, for crying out loud. Do you know that this industry saves millions of gallons of potable water? Millions and millions of gallons of water every year. Over what would be used the wrong way.
So I just made a comment back here. Why don't we all throw $5,000 each and hire a PR company to do a nationwide campaign? Because we're our own worst enemy.
Well, yeah, isn't that the truth? So we need to shake this out, and we need to shake it out in the easiest manner possible. And the easiest manner possible might be for us to simply continue to build the momentum of this association, get more people to come to these events, and talk about what the difficulties are and the commonalities that there are in what we need, what we want, what we don't want, and it becomes truly the best available technology. The fact that a municipality, or I should say an enforcement entity, would go to a university to find out what they think best available technology is in something before they would come to the industry that provides the services is mind-boggling. That blows my mind. Okay, I was invited to give a talk for the an industrial coatings conference. It was particularly roof coatings, and 75% of the room was manufacturers that want to sell a lot of products to applicators. And these guys were suddenly being harassed by stormwater cops for runoff coming down those rain gutters when they were cleaning and prepping and stuff like this off of those roofs. Nasty stuff was going down those drains and making messes in the storm drains and things like this. So of course the hammer was going to come down. But I was invited to, and this was particularly a technical conference. It was this industry's technical conference, and they invited me, all expenses paid and the whole deal, for me to go give a talk on what the cleaning industry is doing about wastewater control and BMPs. Okay, there was a guy. This was in Berkeley. There was a guy from the University of Berkeley that had been studying roof coatings for whatever, 10, 20 years, whatever, okay? And his take on my talk about BMPs and how to be profitable as a business, providing services in a manner that are sustainable, wasn't quite the angle that he wanted to hear about. He wanted to hear all about protecting the environment and hugging trees and, petting possums.
What was going to lead to his next grant? Yeah, what was going to lead to his next grant?
Right. So I got a note on my chair where I was sitting before my presentation when I got back to my seat, and he had gotten up and left halfway through the presentation. I got a note on my chair saying, very disappointed, wanted more about protecting the environment. You guys, half of you guys have heard my presentations before.
It's all about protecting it.
Yeah, well, so he was disappointed, but every other person in that room thanked me for coming to the event over the course of the next several hours that I was there. I mean, it was pretty amazing to get the look and feel of the difference. There we've got the guy from the university that so many stormwater people had talked to. He felt, I don't know, I guess he felt bitching and wanted, to have influenced society a little bit more than he actually had at the commercial level. Or whatever, I don't know. But we can't have these misinterpretations. We can't have these misdirections. And for a law enforcement entity to go to a university and act like people that think a lot can figure out what we should do, I'm embarrassed for them. I'm embarrassed for them. And the university that thought that was all they should do. Because has a university ever called you and said, hey, we're doing a little study here. Can you tell us what you guys actually do to, No. Nobody's ever called anybody in the cleaning business and asked them those questions. It just hasn't happened, guaranteed. And that's pathetic, but that's the split and divide that we have in the system, and we need to close those gaps at this guy's level. He's a county guy, if I heard correctly, he's a county guy that has a jurisdiction of local enforcement people under him. He's supposed to make sure that they apply laws and do it correctly, and the whole educational thing works. See, he has the concern for education, but for these guys to not understand that best available technology is people that are creating jobs, paying taxes, we're getting the job done. I mean, who cleaned the fronts of City Hall anyway? Who was that out there? Was it the guy from the university? I don't think so. So anyway, here I stand with all this attitude. And we need to clean some things. So the laws and the restrictions, well, he made it easy for me to go forward fast on this one. Oh, it helps when it's turned on? Is that what's turned on? Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to skip a whole lot of legal stuff because he just covered it, and move right on to best management practices. The Wash Water Control Handbook, I wrote that years ago and posted it on a website called washwater.org for free for anybody to go print it out if they wanted to. And over the course of the past, I don't know, I guess it's been almost 20 years now, but over the past 10 or 15 years, we've seen snippets of my Wash Water Control Handbook in the BMP programs for municipalities all around the country. We have had an influence on law enforcement after all. These handbooks were made to promote the fact that best available technology is us. Okay? To fund protecting the environment, commercial businesses have to create jobs. So here we are doing it. The Wash Water Control Handbook is an outline for BMPs. We've broken it down into a much more definitive list of things to do at the job site. But this is something that I've given away for free. That was my point. I've given this thing away for free for almost 20 years. If you want to print out copies of the Wash Water Control Handbook and my BMP's checklist, which we'll talk about next, I give those away freely. I'll email it to you in a PDF form. You can freely print them out and hand them to property management companies if you want to show them what guidelines are that you work off of. You know, if this is your wash water control Bible that you train your people off of and things like this, it's going to add to your perceived professionalism in front of property management company for sure. Anyway, we're avoiding pollutants. We've got standards. There's fines and penalties if you don't. It's all expensive if you don't do it right. It profits you if you do it right. And we have to have a sustainable relationship with the job site. So, sustainable relationship with the job site. That means that when you walk on the site, you need to be able to form an agreement with the property management, the property owner, property manager, that you are going to, number one, profit from, and he's going to get a lot of cleaning from, and we have no confusion in how things are going to get done. So we don't want to have the wash water leave the site because you'd be relocating it and taking responsibility for it for the rest of its life. I went real fast there. Everybody caught what I just said there? If you relocate the pollution off of those sidewalks, off the site, now you own it. If you leave it on his site, he still owns it. You don't own it. You just relocated it for him. Got it? So we're putting that wash water on his landscaping, he still owns it. You're not legally responsible for it. But as soon as you get it in the back of your trailer or your truck and you're hauling it down the road, now you own it and you're responsible for it, whatever happens to it for the rest of its life. Okay? So anyway, back to the BMP's checklist. Everybody have a copy of that?
Yep.
Okay. The BMP checklist was written as an on-site program. So when your guys go to the site and do the work, they're going to follow these rules and guidelines to make sure that they don't miss anything. If they don't set out secondary containment at the storm drain first, and then work backwards to getting the job done, and then when they get the job done, they go back through the same steps backwards and put away everything, and they've cleaned up everything, and all the wash water was captured and managed, and all the trash was managed, and all that. I mean, if we don't have this program, then you can't hold them responsible for it, right? So this is the checklist that you can use for that. But let's go a step further. You bring this checklist with you when you're talking to the property manager about giving them a quote, or her. It's always her. You're going to give her a quote on what it's going to cost to manage the sidewalk cleaning or whatever on this property. Well, if you talk about not having the water leave the property, okay, where's it going to go? Are they going to authorize you to put it down the sanitary sewer, or is it going to go on the landscaping? You need an agreement. It needs to be in your contract, okay? You're going to pick up sticks and leaves and cigarette butts and trash and whatever, and you're going to have a couple bags full of them, and so where are they going to go? This dumpster over here or that dumpster over there? Wouldn't it be a drag if they didn't want to pay you because you pissed off the neighbor by putting the trash in the wrong dumpster? That'd be a bad day, right? You did the work and now they're refusing to pay. That would be bad. So you need to have an agreement. So your BMP's checklist becomes a guideline for your agreement. How hard does that hurt? So you're going to process that water to the landscaping or the sanitary sewer, you just need to have an agreement. If there's no water in that parking garage and you just don't want to be hauling water every 30 minutes that takes 20 minutes to fill and 10 more minutes to get back to the... You can't be spending half an hour out of every hour going and getting more water. You want to recycle for reuse in that application if it's practical. And so an agreement to do that means that you're going to have to bring more expensive equipment. There's going to be cleanup time later. It may not be travel time hauling the water down the street, but it's certainly more effort than putting the water down the sanitary sewer or on the landscaping. If she wants to keep her costs down, she better go light on what you have to do with this water when you're picking it up. If they can just bust loose with letting you have authorization to use that little key, open the door and hook into water supply thing over here, then okay, now we got water supply. I don't have to go get water and I don't have to recycle for reuse. Okay? So the agreement is paramount. It relates to cost, let alone the profitability on the job site and how many days you're going to be there. Okay? If you have to transport and dispose wash water, time, fuel, wear and tear, you got to pay somebody so they can let you put it down their system or whatever, depending on what's going on in that area and what you have in that water that you're having hauled out. So transport and dispose can be horribly expensive. It can be more expensive than just filtering for reuse. Okay? Filtering for reuse is to minimize pollution. You're catching it in the filter. You're minimizing the space that pollution takes up. You're compacting it instead of having, thousands of gallons going down the sanitary sewer. You're minimizing this, so you can. You're actually doing the ultimate in protecting the environment. You're condensing it into the smallest possible volumetric form. Law enforcement ought to like that a lot. That's good for the environment as long as you can put this in an intelligent place. Okay, and whether you can put the sticks and leaves and cigarette butts in the dumpster or not, you know, we need to be able to do that. Whether you need to get the oil out of the water or filter it for heavy metals or whatever. I mean, these are going to be details that need to be managed based on whatever you're cleaning. But that's a site agreement, okay? That's a site agreement. So the BMP's checklist becomes an outline practically for what you're going to need to charge the customer, and it becomes several lines of the agreement that you're going to have with them in getting a contract signed. And as you do this, of course, you got to know that the property manager has probably never seen this before. She's never seen anybody pop up with a BMP's checklist, okay? And then when she sees that you're actually turning in a copy of the BMP's checklist that's signed and dated by the crew that went out and did it, along with before and after pictures, how's that feel for professionalism? Is that going to look pretty good? Okay. Is she going to pay you last with the janitors, or is she going to pay you first with, like, you know, yeah.
Light bill.
Okay. Well, you know, how much they appreciate you is going to heavily influence how fast you get paid. Let's face that. Anyway, wash water control and wash water reclamation tools are many. We've got the puddle suckers, which is probably the least expensive, coolest tool on the market right there. I'm happy to be the supplier of just something super simple that just works awesomely terrific. Those things can pick up like 50 gallons a minute if you want them to, the way they're designed. There's the scupper, and there's other tools available that suck up wash water. You can take a vacuum cloth like they use at car washes and set it in the gutter, and that'll suck up water. It's not expensive to find a tool that will go on a shop vac. The expensive part is to have a shop vac that has an automatic pump up that actually works and can lift the water up onto the back of your truck, so you don't have to offload the vacuum every time. Okay, vacuum that can suck hard enough to get that water up into the back of the truck, so the automatic pump out can pump it out and not have to offload it onto the ground. These are work speed things. The more work speed you want, the more sophisticated we might have to get with the tools. But simplicity is the puddle sucker and the direct shot vac. The vacuum berm was designed to suck wash water up off the driveway that's coming down in a sheet. It sips the water off of the surface that it hasn't pooled or wouldn't pool up before it got off the curb into the storm drain. You know, when we first got started with law enforcement and the cleaning business, they wanted us to keep the wash water from going off into the gutter. You had to keep it, you know, on the sidewalk. You couldn't let it get off into the storm conveyance system. That's what they called the gutter. And then we convinced them finally that, hey, best available technology is we let it get down the doggone gutter, we let it go a few feet, and it puddles up with some sandbags, and we can pick it up real easy and cheap. Sustainable? Front steps of City Hall? Yeah, okay. Front steps of City Hall is where that idea was born. They decided it was okay for us to let the water get off the sidewalk. Scott Stone was mentioning something about that the other day, just earlier, about the wash water getting off the edge of the sidewalk. Well, it's the easiest place to pick it up down there on the curb. Just don't let it get all the way down to the storm drain before you try to pick it up. Put your secondary containment down there, and if something happens, like your generator ran out of gas and the vacuum shut down, or the automatic pump out failed or whatever, you'd still have, you know, between here and there to get over there and pick up that water again with your backup back or whatever. So secondary containment is on the list. Having the system set up and proven before you turn on the vacuum, the pressure washer. I mean, obviously, you want to make sure that the vacuum is going to run before you turn on the pressure washer, and vice versa. Turn off the pressure washer, let the water run where it's going to run, and get the vacuum to suck it all up before you shut off the vacuum. The reclaim equipment has to work after the pressure washing gets done. It's common sense, but the more we have a definitive procedure, the easier you can get your guys to be responsible for it. And that checklist and those reasons are why you should put this in front of a property management company. Anyway, so we have handheld tools as well. The squeegee floor tool, for example, is a vacuum reclaim tool. The vacuuming surface cleaner is a cool tool because it sucks up the water at the same time. It sprays, you know, your pressure washer is just spinning the bar and it sprays water out. You suck up that water at the same time and you're done. No rinsing, no runoff. That's cool. That's extremely valuable, like on a loading dock, when there's people trying to walk by and there's no overspray and it's dry in 5 minutes. That's a cool tool. So a vacuuming surface cleaner is actually the best reason for you to own a vacuum reclaim system. The vacuuming surface cleaner. Because that means you can take 4,000 PSI up into a factory and clean while there's still business going on and people walking by. As long as you can manage your hoses, you can make money inside buildings as well as you can outside. Let's talk about wintertime when it's frozen outside. Or if they're afraid to have you go out and clean the front of the Walmart store because, you know, it's snowing every other day and we don't know if it's going to be icy or not. Well, wait a minute. With the vacuum reclaim, instant capture vacuuming surface cleaner, I'm leaving no water on the ground. I'm preventing ice from building up. Oh, you may be able to keep that job for a few more months during the year. That's more money in your pocket and more cleaning getting done, and you're removing a slip and fall hazard. How hard is that hurt? Oil water separators, that's where you want to get into your hydraulic oil spills and stuff like that. If you want to filter that water before discharging on landscaping, you can be cleaning gas stations and filter the water good enough it can go on the landscaping with just a little bit of oil water separation. In fact, the oil philic fibers in our vacuum waste tanks, the red tanks, those have enough oil attractive fiber in them to take oil out that wants to float anyway.
Talking about just that black screen.
That slide-in filter screen has a very oil attractive fiber in it. Very oil attractive.
And are those sold separately?
If you want to buy one to put in your drum, sure. Parts
Yeah,
are parts.
There's one currently in it. I just don't know how old it is. I bought the vacuum used.
You can spray a little degreaser on it and rinse it off at the local coin-op car wash and keep reusing that thing.
Cool.
And the older ones that the oil philic fibers are trying to fall down, okay, I'll give you half price on the replacement, which is a major upgrade, and get that thing fixed. They're rebuildable. Somebody hold up one of those pillows. Okay, these little pillows are the floaty that you would want to put in on the dirty water side of your vacuum waste tank that would draw the oil off the surface and encapsulate it into a non-hazardous form. It renders it non-harmful. U.S. Coast Guard approved. That little sock that you have can encapsulate and render harmless a pint of oil. And then you can throw it in the dumpster. Coast Guard approved. This is state of the art here. That's as good as it gets right there. This stuff is available in pillows, in booms, in particulate form. You could throw it on top of a spill and let it soak that stuff up and sweep it into a trash can and dump it in the dumpster. You could use it as a sweep. And it encapsulates. It completely rubberizes the oil into a non-hazardous form, and that is a cool, environmentally friendly thing. Changes the oil. We float them in the oil water separators. So when you go to clean out your oil water separator, you're taking a pillow off and putting it in the dumpster instead of having to haul it off as a hazardous waste. And then all you have left in your oil water separator is mud. And that's nice, because that can go right down the sanitary sewer or on the landscape, as long as it's legal in that area and there's not too much other stuff. Yes?
Sorry, did you say it was available in a powder form?
A particulate. It's little grains about, if you split a pea in half, that's about the size of the granules. And they're little rubbery things, and I mean, it really soaked up some oil.
And how, And how long does it take to do that?
Minutes.
Minutes.
Minutes. Yep, it's a pretty cool tool. It's not as expensive as dealing with handling a hazardous waste, that's for sure.
Well, I deal with heavy grease and oils on roofs from restaurants.
Ah,
So that would work on restaurant grease.
very cool tool for that. Any greasy substance, any oily substance, not sure how far I can go with saying solvents, but we can find it from the manufacturer.
You used to replace these from the Coast Guard or from you or where?
What was your question?
Replacements.
Replacements. Talk to me about replacements. It's a product that I'm handling for sure. I'm going to find out where the manufacturer has warehouses around the country, and I'll communicate that with you guys. I want to make product available. I want solutions to get in your hands. I'm not going to profit from a lot of what I talk about in my business day, but I talk about what I do because it's going to help you to make money, stay in business, have a sustainable relationship with your job site. That's what I do. I don't make as much money as I could or probably should, but I want to help you. I want to help your business to grow. That's why I do and say what I do. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so and there's other tools that are close. The closest thing that I've ever seen to this rubberizer is the stuff that Faith is doing. That product is awesome, short of actually rendering it a rubberized, non-hazardous form. Her tool captures those things and holds them within the material, good at better than most materials. It's
Non-leaching.
It's halfway. It's non-leaching. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. But this product actually chemically changes the oil to a rubberized form. It's changed. You can't get oil out of it. If you put it in a vise and squeezed it, there will be no oil to come out because it's all been turned into rubber. You can squish rubber all you want, and it won't drip. Okay? That's the thing. So there's all kinds of tools available for being environmentally friendly. I designed the vacuum berm when a mobile detailer came to me and said he wanted something to hook up to a shop vac and keep wash water from going into the storm drain so he could promote an environmentally friendly auto detailing business because his mom was involved with Surfrider Foundation, just so happened. What he didn't know was that just 2 weeks before, another mobile detailer came to me and said, hey, I really appreciate the beefy vacuum that you made for me, but I think I want to hook up the pressure washer to my upholstery tool so I can use the vacuum instead of an upholstery machine. And I'm going, oh, whoa, I didn't think of that. He came to me and wanted me to build him a vacuum because he was tired of throwing away shop vacs. And I realized, okay, well now it's being handed me on my lap. Okay, there's a reason to connect a vacuum to a doggone pressure washer, and with the wash water control tool laying on the ground, man, I could see the future. I mean, and that was 28 years ago. That happened to me over the course of about 3 weeks, so I'm supposed to be here doing this. I'm convinced. Anyway, so planning for the wastewater, planning the job site, involving the owner so that you have an agreement is what dots the I's and crosses the T's in the legalities of your contract, and forms a much tighter bond between you and the property manager in exactly what your service provides. Being an environmental service instead of just, a window wiper. It's a whole different way of treatment, okay? You're gonna get paid quickly. The on-site checklist is common sense stuff, man. Go do your secondary containment. Why would you not do secondary containment when it's simple as a rubber mat over the drain with some sandbags in front of it, maybe one of Faith's gutter critters in front of that, and wow, that's your secondary containment? That's awesome, because if you're in California especially, because they've heard of the gutter critter